Mr. Vice President, first and foremost, yesterday's Intelligence Committee report, it implicated you as either, quote, knowledgeable of or an active participant in an effort to extract from a foreign nation the personal political benefits sought by the president. Is this accurate?
It's not accurate, Brian. And so much of that report is not accurate. But the American people know what's going on here. I mean, for the last 3 years, Democrats in Congress have engaged in endless investigations in an effort to overturn the results of the 2016 election. First, it was the Mueller investigation, until the Justice Department found after 2.5 years, no obstruction, no collusion, case closed. And then they've taken up this new partisan impeachment, which is going on even as we speak. But the truth is, the American people have the facts. I mean, they have the transcript. They can see there was no quid pro quo. We've heard, even again this week, from the president of Ukraine, that there was no pressure placed on him. In my meetings with President Zelensky on President Trump's behalf in Poland, we talked exclusively about President Trump's concern about corruption in Ukraine, which President Zelensky was actually elected to confront, and about President Trump's concern that Europe wasn't doing enough. When I reported back the progress that President Zelensky was making, President Trump released all the funding. Those are the hard facts. And as the old saying goes, facts are stubborn things. And despite that, Democrats continue on their headlong rush toward a partisan impeachment. And I think it's a disgrace. I think it's a disgrace what they're doing on Capitol Hill, but it's also a disgrace what they're not doing. I mean, as we sit here today, as Democrats pursue their partisan impeachment, the National Defense Bill funding our troops, including a pay raise for our troops, is awaiting action. The largest trade deal in American history, the USMCA, is sitting on Speaker Nancy Pelosi's desk for the last year. I mean, it would literally create thousands of jobs in Detroit, tens of thousands of jobs all across this state and this nation. And yet Democrats are so caught up in their partisan impeachment, they don't have time to pass the USMCA. A highway bill that Congress ought to be acting on, the president's anxious to work on, is going nowhere in the Congress. So I'm going to say again, I think the American people know what's going on here. For the last 3 years, it's been a series of endless investigations trying to overturn the results of the 2016 election. And I think what the American people want to see this Congress do is set aside all this divisive politics and get back to working on the things that are going to make our country more secure, make our country more prosperous, and really serve the interests of the people of Michigan and America first.
Speaking of Michigan, you visited this state multiple times in recent months. Clearly, you view Michigan as a path to re-election in 2020. In 2018, however, every county, including those that went for the president, voted more blue than they did in 2016. An 8-point swing in the Senate race that John James was a part of. Are those votes not a referendum on the administration?
Well, Brian, as you know, midterm elections are always a challenge for the party that's in the White House. And voter turnout is different in those years. But in 2020, just like 2016, President Donald Trump is going to be on the ballot. And this time, we're not just going to have his vision for a more secure America, a more prosperous America. We're going to have the results. I mean, what's exciting to me, and when I come to Michigan, when I'm traveling anywhere in this country, is to talk about what we've actually been able to do over the last 3 years, despite overwhelming Democrat opposition. But while we had a Democrat majority in the Congress, rebuild our military, largest investment in our national defense since the days of Ronald Reagan. We've revived the economy through tax cuts, regulatory reform, unleashing American energy, and fighting for free and fair trade, opening markets to American goods around the world. And over 170 conservatives appointed to our courts at every level. I mean, our economy is booming. Our military has been strengthened. Our borders are more secure. And that's a record I can't wait to take all across the state of Michigan, all across the heartland, and all across America to victory in 2020.
We have some neighbors in Detroit right across the river. The Canadians, a close ally to the United States. Just this morning, the president called the leader of that country two-faced. What does this do for relations with Canada?
Well, I really can't add to what the president said, but what I can tell you is that the relationship between the United States and Canada is very strong. And the president's forged a very good relationship for his part with Prime Minister Trudeau. I mean, the USMCA itself is evidence of the relationship that President Trump has forged with Canada and with Prime Minister Trudeau. And again, I go back to the fact that as Congress is spending all of their time on a partisan impeachment, the USMCA, which was the result of tough negotiations with Canada. I mean, I don't mind telling you that this president took a strong stand for American jobs with the USMCA and for American agriculture. I mean, frankly, Canada had taken some steps that were affecting American dairy, and President Trump took a strong stand and ensured that those policies would change as we embraced a new trading relationship with Canada and with Mexico, and he got it done. So we'll continue to look for ways we can work together with Canada in the years ahead, but the best thing that we could do to strengthen our relationship with Canada would be to have the Congress take up and pass the USMCA and pass it this year.
Katie, do I have one more? Okay, all right. Our relatively newly elected governor ran on the campaign of fix the damn roads. When can we see an infrastructure budget passed? Because we have some of the worst roads in the country.
Well, I know, look, I was governor of Indiana, and we focused on roads and infrastructure. There's, in many ways, our economy rolls in this country over the roads and the bridges, the ports and the airports. And it's one of the reasons that this builder who's become president of the United States is so frustrated with this Congress. I mean, again, while Congress is spending their time on endless investigations and a partisan impeachment, a highway bill is languishing on Capitol Hill. And the president's talked about supporting legislation that would invest over $1 trillion in infrastructure in this country, and he means it. But it's going to take Congress setting aside the divisive politics that have literally dominated this Congress since the Democrats took over a year ago and start to focus on issues that matter most. And I promise you that the president's going to be ready to work with Republicans and Democrats the moment that Democrats in Washington are ready to work on a highway bill. We'll be ready to work right with them.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Appreciate your time.
Great. Thank you.